Hi everyone, hope everything is fine with you. Now, I don't know how, but it is happening like this that I feel somehow driven or even pushed to talk about Kundalini because it's such a majestic and apparently mysterious force in one system that you just can't help talking about it. You feel compelled, pushed, driven, cornered to talk about it, to share your experience. Maybe there are people around who need this information at this stage of their life, and that is primarily the main reason for uh, sharing this information. And I do hope that someone gets help with the information. And these are highly, highly experiential things. And primarily, you have to feel it, and as you read about it later on, or even listen to others talking about it, then you can just correlate with it, and then you fill in the gaps, and you create a sort of theory about it, because we are helpless. We can't, when it comes to expressing a particular phenomena through words, so we have to use certain you know words and sentences. And so some people who don't have the experiential knowledge of it, they will find it theoretical. But even this you know knowledge at the theoretical level is going to help a particular person later on in the life, because most of the time, generally, things come to us in theory only, and later on, if we are lucky, we get the practical validation, and the experiential dimension opens to us. So as far as Kundalini is concerned, they say, as I have already discussed earlier, it's not essential to have an awakened Kundalini to proceed through the tests and common time challenges of life. Most of us are capable of just you know wading through life only using the normal sense perception. And they also say that it's a very uh, tough force, let us say, and they say that it is sleeping at the base of our spine in the form of a coil. So these are mythological things, and but they have a meaning, a very substantial meaning. Imagine you are passing through, you know, a forest, and by the side of your path there is a hole, and inside that hole, a big snake is resting inside. Now, usually you are just supposed to just cross over, but in certain cases, suppose you just get crazy about it and you just start, with the help of a stick, you continue prodding into that hole so that you bring into aggression or activation that sleeping snake. So this exactly the same thing is with Kundalini. Now there are many regions on account of which it may come into activation. It might be intentional, very intense yogic sadhanas, or even the blessings of a guru whose vibrational frequency has reached such a level that it somehow removes the last blockages in your energy channel inside your body. But for, and we call that Shakti path. But for Shakti path to be effective, you have to reach a particular level where just a trigger just somehow starts that initiation in your system. It's just like that. Suppose there is a heap of dry fodder somewhere, and you just need a spark. So that is Shakti path. The Guru, he just provides a spark, and the entire thing is lit up. And then there are so many examples, of people just having gone through near-death experiences, and somehow uh, their system was in a position to get into a stage where it, for a few moments, it just stood apart from the normal sense perception and the consciousness. It just leaves the body and tastes the nectar of that utmost bliss. And once it comes back, it retains those glimpses and life changes. So we call that near-death experiences. And on the basis of individual, you know, physiology, there can be so many regions that the resting snake comes into life, and then your life changes forever because now you have a completely different type of nervous energy, pranic energies flowing through your system. Then you can't help it. You have to get adjusted to it because it is so strong and powerful. Now, most of us, whoever is spiritually inclined, must have heard about the seven chakras in our body. These are the junctions of energy uh, in our physical system. These are invisible things, but as we can say, like just you have a wire and we know that energy is flowing through, electricity is flowing through that wire, even if it is not visible. The same is with our apparent body. It's a big functioning machine of different type of energies which are cascading around. And once you have awakened Kundalini, you can feel those energies cascading around your system. And this is my personal experience that it is you just get used to it after some time. It becomes your normal state. Though initially uh, you are just wonderstruck, and some people might even get scared if they don't have any theoretical knowledge about it. So it's always advisable to have some theoretical knowledge about it. Now we have Muladhar, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Agya, and Sehasrara Chakra nervous system. These are uh, the big junctions of nerves in our system where energies somehow come together for its distribution across over 60,000 nadis in our system. So there have been far more capable person than me who have been experts in these domains, and I do hope that you already have a theoretical knowledge about these things. So there is no point in repeating all this. And we also have heard and read that all these chakras are across our spine. Now visualize a pipe having uh, seven holes across its length, and let us say the pipe stands for the spine, and the holes across its length, they stand for the different chakras. Now if the upper outlets are blocked, the pranic energy will outflow from the outlet available at the lower end, and the outlet at the lower end in our system is Muladhara chakra. Now these are the, and all these chakras, they are bound by their prakritis, their inclinations, their particular individual uh, characteristics. So if most of our pranic energy is flowing through the lower chakra, that is Muladhara, so the kind of life that we will create will be according to the most usual routine uh, collective psyche that we see around, that we will be acting and behaving just like anyone, any other individual around us. And on the basis of usage of that energy, we will be creating a life that will be driven by customs, conventions, beliefs, and collective fears and phobias, the usual stuff. Uh, in scriptures, they say these are driven by seven sins, but I won't use this term. I would say that these are just ways and means of spending the energy in a way where we are we are we act on our impulses. We are driven by anger. We are driven by jealousy. So these are primarily big energy, sappers. They sap the energy out of you. So we are into materialistic pursuits. Nothing wrong with that. Just that it's a vicious circle. It builds up an entire ecosystem around it, uh, which just doesn't allow us to see things beyond that narrow confines. And only 10% of pranic energy is available to travel up, and this 10% of energy, it activates the neurons in our system, primarily in the conscious part of our brain, conscious mind, that we do things consciously, and 90% is just lying dormant. Okay, so infinite potential in subconscious mind, because the neurons are lying there to be used. New neural pathways are waiting for more energy into your system, so that you can have a different perspective. You can think uh, out of league. You can be creative. You can be loving, compassionate, because those are the chambers of related to higher frequency energies. And obviously, if they start firing, the whatever you will be creating or manifesting in your individual life will be something completely different for what you were earlier doing on the basis of impulses of the lower chakra. So all these sadhanas are primarily meant to clear. Uh, we created that analogy of a pipe having seven holes across its length. So since earlier the upper outlets were blocked, so there was no alternative left for the pranic energy uh, apart from flowing out of the lower chakra, and that chakra being defined by our animalistic tendencies of impulsive, behavior. We are not responding, we are just reacting, and that reaction, it falls in many categories on the basis of our fears and phobias and hate, anger, jealousy. So we are caught up in a beautiful worldly quagma where we are just spending our energies unnecessarily, and just like somebody is caught in a whirlpool and is exhausting his or her energies, after some time he or she realizes, oh my god, I'm not proceeding anywhere, because it's just like circling around. And then that discontentment with life, that not being at ease with life, it builds up in the system. And then we start looking beyond what has apparently, you know, uh, imprisoned us. And then we are looking to go beyond the boundaries that have been set up by the collective mind setups around us, on the basis of customized knowledge, conditioned thoughts, everything. We just want to come out of that prison, and that is what we uh, term as spiritual life. That we just want to come out of that prison. It's a just natural tendency of the soul force, the consciousness, to somehow broaden its platform of operations, so that it realizes higher dimensions. It is able to create something uh, at a broader platform, and that is what we mean by opening the higher chakras. Now, suppose after Muladhara we have the Swadhisthana chakra. Now, earlier it was blocked. Now, suppose on the basis of our sadhanas, on the basis of our that particular bhav, even bhakti yoga or gyan marg, or with voluntary effort, with a disciplined life, with that, you know, uh, with that effort to somehow tame ourselves, tame our impulses, our instinctive behavior, and rein in the mind. Suppose the second chakra, Svadhisthana chakra, opens up. So the energy that was just earlier bound to come out of the lower chakra because it hadn't any other outlet, because there were blockages for the higher chakra. Now a bit of it will come out of the Svadhisthana chakra because it has opened up. Now this also is a, principle, and you know just like in physical science you have the laws. Now here in spiritual sciences, in metaphysical things, you have the laws. If if a portion of your energy is flowing out of particular chakra, that is higher chakra, here we are saying it comes out of Swadhisthana chakra. So of course it is more refined because Swadhisthana chakra operates at a higher vibrational energy frequency. So if our energies have reached up to that level, our entire perspective is supposed to change, and we will act, behave, think, emote, and create our life according to the higher frequency of that particular chakra. And as we further proceed on the path of spirituality, and each and every stream of spirituality is as good as anyone else in taking you to the higher chakras. So let us not commit this folly of getting judgmental the our fellow paths. So all of us have our individual systems, and what we are given and what we come across on the path of sadhana, you have to believe that that is good for us. There are always takeaways, and if we are receptive and open to it, of course, uh, we will be benefiting from it. So after Swadhisthana, you have this Manipur chakra. It has got still higher vibrational frequencies, and if your energies are operating at this chakra, the life will be, your perspectives will be uh, further cleared up. It's just like that you are removing those thick walls. If you are operating at the Mooladhar, you have the big, thick stone walls around you. You cannot see uh, beyond it, and that is why you find yourself so segregated and compartmentalized and separated from everything around, and that is why you have such a strong ego force, because you cannot see beyond the fence because it's a stone wall. You cannot see anything beyond it. Then you think that it's only about me, that is ego, ahankar. So all your effort at creating a meaning of your life will be centered around you only. Now as we are refining uh, you know our higher chakras, it's just like dispelling that stone wall around us. Let us say after reaching a particular higher vibrational frequency in a higher chakra, it's just like that you no longer have a dead end stone wall around you, where your ahankar is so happy to feel secure and protected, and it will just try to convince you, okay, it's only about you, because you cannot see beyond it. But as you are polishing yourself, as you are doing a sort of spiritual mission work, you are breaking those walls, and After a period of time, the stone walls are no longer there. You get certain openings. There are glimpses. Then to put into you, to put certain, uh, doubts in your mind. It's not only about me as I used to think earlier. Now you have certain openings in the wall. You can see glimpses of something outside, and then you get, you know, somehow curious. It's not only about me. There is a bigger dimension. Uh, there is a something which is beyond me, because now you see through those chinks. And from Manipura to Vishuddhi Chakra to Agya Chakra, by that time our energies reach that level. uh, those stone fencing, they have melted away, and now we have just, a wooden fence, uh, just like you have in countryside houses, or circling the pastures, the wooden fences. You still feel differentiated from the overall, unity, because you can see the faded wooden posts and wires surrounding you. So that means your ego is still trying to somehow keep itself alive, and now it is, you know, instead of stone walls, now you have the faint traces of fencing around you. And but now you can see clearly beyond it. Okay, now the difference is, earlier you were not in a position to see anything. Now you can, even if you cannot completely break those walls and still feel, separated from the overall unity, the ultimate integrity of things. But you always remember there is a second thought parallel, that no, there is, see, I can clearly see beyond the wooden fences, because they are see through. So, this is what I mean by spiritual cleansing, of raising your energy to higher chakras from, you know, completely blinding, completely imprisoning stone walls. Now you have the wooden fencing consisting only of, posts and wires, and it's a big circle around you. And as we further move on, it's those boundaries that separate you, they, they start receding into the horizons. That means you are spreading yourself now. Lot many things, you feel connected to them. You feel like they are part of you, and ultimately they say even those fencing, they just vanish across the horizon. That means you become one with everything. So that's how it happens. By the time the energies, they reach the Sheshrar, and the entire set of energies, they start flowing through the uppermost outlet, in that pipe, in that pranic pipe. Let us say it's a bit funny as well, but let us say the spine is just that pranic pipe having seven outlets, and now most of the energies are flowing through the top end. So it has got such a uh, beautifully high-end frequency that then you look at things holistically, integrative, because the wooden fencing, even the wooden fencing that surrounded you, has melted away. Now you feel all this is me. Maybe this is what they mean by I am Brahmasmi. And if we go into the physiological aspect of it, uh, my calculation, or my opinion on this is this: earlier 90%, and let us say, uh, by the time our pranic energy reach the Swadhisthana chakra, 15 or 20% of energies move upward, because it's not getting wasted according to the low end frequency parameters of the base chakra. So, with each jump across a higher chakra, we are increasing the outflow of energy almost by 10%. Now, If in the initial state, if 90% of the energy was getting spent in pampering the ego, because we were hitting against the stone walls, and that requires, a prison is a prison, and soul wants gets liberation. And whatever might be the beauty of furniture, beauty of facilities inside the prison, you still will feel something is missing. A prison is a prison, and that is why, in order to uh, completely identify yourself with very grossly confined identity within the stone walls, you have been spending most of your energies. So only 10% has been reaching so far across Sushumna, the central channel, to activate our neurons in the conscious part of our brain. So that means 90%, not only 90%, let us say more than 90%, even 95% of our subconscious brain is lying dormant, and that is the huge potential. As we are clearing our central column on the path of sadhana, as more energy starts going into our so far unused neural patterns, they come into activation. It's just like, suppose you have a 100-watt bulb in your room, and across the transfer line, 90% of the energy is getting dissipated on account of the inherent resistance in the material, that is in the wire, and only 10% is reaching, that is 10 watt. So that bulb is uh, shining at its lowest level. It's a very feeble glow, and your room is mired in darkness. You cannot see things clearly because there is not enough light. And this is what I mean by staying in darkness, because you cannot see the things. Now, things are as they are, but since there is not enough light in the room, uh, we will be forced to, go into assumptions, presumptions. There will be unwarranted fears. We will just create imaginary phantoms in our mind because we can't see clearly. And suppose the resistance across the wire is resistance to the flow of electricity. It is coming down, and more, voltage is flowing across the wire. And now suppose there is a 20 watt flowing, and then you have more light, then you will be more holistic in your assessment of things, relatively speaking, in comparison to your earlier stage. Then you will see a bit more things, and suppose ultimately the bulb starts shining at its full potential, that is at 100 watt, you will see the entire room and the surroundings in their totality, and you don't have to fight with darkness. With darkness, all it needs is just a spark of, light, and everything, the darkness vanishes automatically by itself, and you see the things, and then you realize, oh my god, those my assumptions, presumptions, and my unwarranted fears, my figment of my own creation, imagination, uh, they don't exist. That's how things are, as simple as that. So similarly, uh, just like the bulb starts shining at its full potential, the same thing is, I am creating this analogy between bulb and the brain. Earlier it was just, 10% of it was activated through, because energy was getting dissipated at the lower chakras. Now you have, initially you have 20 watt, 30 watt, and then ultimately you have 100 watt of energies, and your so far the neural networks and neural pathways that haven't been used ever in this lifetime, now there is electric current in them, they start firing, and obviously you will have higher perspectives of life, because now your perception dimensions are increasing, and you define and view things as per the very high frequency level. And life change is, call it enlightenment or anything, but the feelings, they have their physiological meaning, because uh, they say that there are trillions and trillions of neurons in this brain, and we are using on 5 or 7% of our conscious conditioned brain network, on the basis of our conditioned knowledge and our collective beliefs and assumptions. But uh, all those rest of trillions of neurons, that is the potential that is waiting for you, because you are the owner of this system. It is waiting for you to supply your spiritual energies, your pranic energies to it, so that it comes into activation. This evolution is expecting this much from you, and one can't help it. Later or sooner, all of us have to cross this path. Now, so many people whom we think that uh, there is no hope for them. No, nothing. They are just at that stage of their life where they have to fulfill their prarabdha or karmas at the base level, and of course, further on the journey, they will later or sooner have to uh, cleanse up the system and lead their life as per the higher vibrational frequencies of the higher chakras. That is inevitable for each and every ounce of this existence. That is just being, into groove with evolution. It can't be reversed. So, if somebody is already on the path of sadhana, well and good. That means you have been lucky enough to reach that stage in this lifetime, and now it's only about activating more neurons in the subconscious, because each neuron is linked to 10,000 surrounding neurons, and it can create millions of neural pathways in its near vicinity. If a single neuron can create millions of neural pathways, new ones, just imagine what would be the potential of trillions of neurons, each one, being capable of creating its own circuits. And that is why they say, Aham Brahmasmi, because this is almost infinite. Not just almost, completely infinite potential here, because infinity is not possible if it is not available at each and every ounce of this existence. Just like the entire essence of the sea is available in one drop of sea, one drop of water in the sea. Similarly, the entire potential of cosmic intelligence, it's available there in each and every cell of us. And uh, it's our duty, the moment we come to realize that I have to proceed on the path, then we have to give our best. And the earliest, you know, what to say, once I was standing in a crowded bazaar. It was a very narrow street, and it was, you know, almost claustrophobic environment, and there were people pushing and prodding. They were pushing against you. There was sort of, collective stress, and you cannot see beyond a particular corner in the street, and then you feel highly segmented. You have, because you are not exposed to the larger perspective. You are free to imagine what's beyond that particular corner, and all these people are just, somehow that collective suffering you can feel if you are sensitive enough. So when you are surviving at the Muladhara chakra, it's just like standing in a narrow street, and you cannot see beyond the walls, you cannot see beyond a particular corner in the street, and then you can have all the figment of imagination in your mind. If I cross that way, and suppose then you will visualize that my enemy's house is there, maybe he will thrash me because you cannot see. Now suppose you start rising in the air, and suppose if you look at the entire infrastructure from a 100 feet, let us say, from a height of 100 feet, like a bird. Now you will have a more holistic view of things. Then you will realize, oh my God, I was struck up there, but it's such a small setup, and I could have just easily, walk a few paces, and there was this outlet which have definitely got me into this beautiful garden which was so nearby. But while standing there, I wasn't aware of its existence. So, as we are rising, as we are evolving, we are in a position to see things in more totality, in more comprehensivity, in a holistic way. That's how things are. Like, as more and more pranic energy is going into higher chakras across the spine and activating the brain and creating new, beautiful, neural pathways. It's just like, rising above the plane of materialism and start looking at things in a comprehensive way. It's just like, and most of the things that used to create instant impulsive reactions in our system, they lose their meanings. Just like in during childhood, we are fighting for the toys. The only reason we don't fight for toys while we grow up is because we realize the futility of it. We we find it meaningless. So similarly, the things remain the same, but most of the stuff, it becomes like toys for us, and we are no longer bothered about it. So that is possibly they mean by getting liberated, because you are no longer just bound to fight, just like kids fight for toys. They lose their meanings. So this is enlightenment, in according to my opinion. In my humble capacity, I can say these are my own personal experiences, and of course there is a shift in perspective. Jaisi drishti vaisi srishti. The world turns out as uh, according to your perspective, change your you know viewpoint, and the entire surroundings change. But accordingly, there are changes in the physiology as well. I would say this is a quantum jump into higher evolution. If you are, of course, the people who are 100% into materialistic pursuit, they also will be there, but that is natural pursuits. At the end of this journey, when they are shedding this body, they will realize the futility of so many things, and that particular realization will catapult them into uh, slightly higher plane in the next birth time, and they will be dispelling the remaining disillusionments in their further lifetimes, and naturally, obviously, slowly over a period of time across various births, they will continue, uh, you know voluntarily, involuntarily, indirectly, in fact, because they are not directly uh, launching themselves into that higher orbit. There, the natural evolutionary force will create the circumstances for them, so that slowly over a period of time, because evolution is inevitable. But I would say that is just being a product of your circumstances. You are a product, and you are just growing just like a tree is in response to the stimuli of the environment, of the ecosystem around it. So similarly, the jivatmas, they also keep evolving as per the push and prodding of circumstances, and that is circumstantial living. And but they say later or sooner it fits in the scheme of things. Mother existence wants us to somehow launch ourselves like a satellite into higher orbits with our voluntary effort. And this is what I mean by higher purpose of life, that we are voluntarily, with direct intervention on our part, we are trying to achieve something which in any case is bound to happen across various lifetimes. Just that we are taking a leap here. Simple, as simple as that. So I would hope that whoever, even if it is one person, I know just one or two people will listen to it till the end. But this particular message is meant for that particular person or couple of persons only, and nothing wrong with that. Just that it's such a majestic force that it just wants to come out and get verbalized, get conveyed. Maybe there is someone somewhere who needs this guidance at this point of time. As far as I am concerned, it's my personal experience. Uh, Even though I don't have a particular guru, but life itself is such a massive guru. Whenever I need something, it comes, the guidance in the form of either a sudden thought or through a book or somebody telling me something or from YouTube channel. The guidance is always available there. So the higher forces are always there to give you inputs, to give you feedback, to give you information that you need, where you are, and if you are genuinely willing to proceed on the path, these entire mother existence acting as a guru will be guiding you. And I have never ever found myself, bound down by this feeling that, oh, there is nobody to guide me. Guidance is available at each and every ounce of this existence. We just have to be open and receptive to it. So life itself is a guru, as great Osho used to say. He never had any particular guru, but he was open to life. He learned from life, and if you are lucky enough to have a guru in physical form, a real guru, you are lucky. Cherish that and honor that blessing and proceed on the path. And my best wishes, best of luck on the path.